This is Jackie, and I'm here with the Asad of Pepper on day one of Vans Warped Tour. How you hanging in there so far?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I like your nice little shady area you got going on here. So it's an absolute pleasure, Jackie.
It's the only shade that exists at
Yeah,
Warped
I
Tour
know.
ever.
Have you managed to find the one and only shady spot in all of Dallas Warp Tour?
Genius.
It is genius.
Absolutely
And
genius.
thank you for that.
So tell me about your new album, Ohana. When is it coming out?
It actually just came out kind of recently, April 29th. It came out, and it's the first album that we it's all in house. We have our own studio. We recorded it at. We put it out on our own record label, Law Records, and it's I think, like, in a nutshell, our whole career. This is our 7th studio album. We've been kind of chasing that, like, kind of capture that vibe that you have on stage, because everyone says you're so much better live than you are on CDs. And I think what we did was just went in the studio and played the songs over and over, just jammed like a band, like we first got together, and I think we've reached that goal this time. So we're pretty psyched. It's real rootsy, and it's real us, you know.
And you guys have been together for a minute, 16, 17 years.
Yeah, just about.
How has your sound evolved over that time? Because you're clearly not the same person you were back then.
No, yeah, are you kidding me? But I think it's this album, Ohana, is really full circle, because it's almost like a throwback in a sense. So it's funny, we almost like rediscovered ourselves from what was the beginning and brought it to the future, and that's kind of what the sound is. It's almost like where we started, the roots of Pepper, but more refined nowadays. I think that's where it is. Where we kind of went off in the middle, off of more of a rock thing and went to more of an experimental thing here, you know what I mean? And we kind of honed it together of like, no, this is just kind of us, just playing some good, fun reggae rock music, like the 3 friends that we grew up together in Kona. You know what I mean? It's like I think we thought it was rocket science for a second, and then we came back to earth, and we were like, all we need to do is get in a room and play together like we did to start out. So I mean, you know, in a real long answer, that's kind of where our sounds
And it's just that simple.
gotten to. Yeah.
What were the benefits? You guys streamed the entire album free on YouTube. What was the thinking behind that, and what were the benefits?
I think just more, just trying to get as many people as possible to hear your music. That's the thinking behind it, and the benefits are just that. You know, it's like the music industry's changed so much. You know, obviously records aren't selling like they were. It's such a streaming world nowadays, and it's finally catching up to that with things like the RIAA adding streaming to their gold certifications and all that. So I mean, it's catching up, but I think just embracing that as soon as the turn happens is the best way to look at it, and doing something like giving away your music to stream for free. You know what I mean? It's the benefits far outweigh the consequences. You can get stuck in the consequences forever and be like, okay, well, you know, this is not good, but you got to remember that all this is so good, and times change, and that's all it's about.
It's good that you've embraced that, because I think when music first went digital, everyone was so afraid about piracy, and that was an issue, but it also led to all the technology that we have right now with streaming and everything.
To be honest, people are still afraid of it, I think. You know, it's like people are still get freaked out about it, but I don't know. It's just figuring out how to harness that into a positive way that people are just hearing the music, because that's the main thing. Yes. Everyone that's here playing in a band is a music fan to start, and that's what it's all about. So as long as the people are hearing the music will never die, and that's a fact.
And speaking of hearing music, if a new fan were to grab Ohana, what's the first song you want them to listen to?
For me personally,
absolutely.
I would go a song called Bones, actually, which is it's a little different. You know, it's still got that classic like Pepper kind of reggae rock kind of vibe, but it's kind of more of an acoustic tune. You know, real stripped down, real rootsy, but it's just personally one of my favorites on the album.
So you mentioned before when we started talking.
And also Warped Tour, we worked on it with John Feldman from Goldfinger.
Literally the Midas touch of all the producer you're gonna work with.
And we just grew up listening to Goldfinger, so you know what I mean. Yeah.
And he's got to be a fun guy to work with, right?
Yeah, amazing. And he surfs, so it's amazing. But
seriously, what does he not do?
I know. God, from here in your bedroom to now, you know what I mean? It's like amazing.
Talk about growing up.
I know, but I cut you off. I'm so sorry, Jackie.
No worries. We talked about how music has changed as far as what becomes gold certified and things, and you guys have been together for a while. What does success look or feel like in 2016 when record sales aren't the pinnacle to reach for?
Like, what does it look like to me, or what is? I mean,
what are you shooting for? What are you aiming for? What are your goals?
I think, your ultimate goal is just to, I think with a band is to kind of tour not out of necessity and out of I don't know, your desire or whatever,
Your love for the music.
Yeah, which that never leaves, you know what I mean? Because this is something I think that we would be doing whether or not we were able to pay our bills with it or not, you know what I mean? So I mean, and that alone, being able to make a living playing something you were going to do already is an absolute success. So, I mean, right there is what I would consider a success.
Well said. So how do you go about choosing your set list for Warped Tour? You've got 30 minutes, right? You got to make it count.
Yeah, I know. And then speaking of having 7 studio albums, it's like now it's a matter of, it's way harder to figure out what not to play than to figure out what to play, So the thing that keeps it exciting is every set's going to be completely different every day.
Oh, nice.
Because there's so many songs, so many albums that we're like, oh, how are we going to leave this one out? We have to. There's only 8 songs. Oh, so there's going to be a lot of intertwining. Speaking of the new album, Ohana, it's the first album that we've ever played from start to finish because for our CD release shows, we did handful of old songs, then the whole album Ohana from start to finish in the middle of the set, then finished off with some favorites in the end. So, and that's another sign of why we're so proud of this new album is it's so us and it's so pure, and we can actually get on our equipments, just the 3 of us, and play the whole thing from top to bottom. Where a lot of the other albums we'd do some studio stuff, we'd finish the album and be like, ooh, I don't know how this is going to translate live, and this whole album's been wonderful. So you'll be hearing all of it all through Warped Tour, all the brand new album Ohana, just here and there intertwined.
Wonderful. Well, check it out. Every set is different. Just stay tuned for more from Pepper. This is Jackie. Thanks to In the Key of Change and Chorus.fm.